Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Fit Responder podcast. My name is Ted Stern, the owner of Fit Responder and the host of the podcast. I am former law enforcement. And because of my background as a fitness coach, we're going to talk about a lot of things related to first responders and fitness. Should be some helpful and some entertaining info for you. So thanks for watching again, and stay safe, strong, and fit. Thanks for joining, everyone. I'm here with Dustin Simmons, who happens to be one of my best friends, also the VP of Fit Responder, and a former law enforcement officer as well, who once weighed 300 plus pounds. Not to rub that in, I was overweight once myself. Never that bad, but we're going to talk about what it was like being an out of shape cop, how that impacted him. We're also going to talk about some other spicy, fun topics. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks for being on here, even though it wasn't really his choice. I said we're doing a podcast, but
wait, I thought I said we were doing a podcast, and
no, you did. You said we got to do a podcast, and eventually I said, all right, we got to do a podcast. But
cool.
Let's just start with that, man. You know, when we met, you were very overweight, and obviously, being a 300-pound cop is not somebody ever envisions themselves being. You probably never thought you'd weigh that much, you'd be that out of shape. Like, I got out of shape myself, so I get it. It can be kind of an incremental thing, but how did you let it get that far? How did you let yourself get to become a 300-pound cop?
Yeah, dude, that's a hard question because I don't think you ever realize you're getting that far until like one day you finally figure it out, right? Like, you can see the scale, you can see your clothes fitting tighter and things like that, but it kind of just like, I mean, you just buy new clothes, they get bigger. You get a new uniform, it gets bigger.
Was there never a time though where you're like, wait, I've already had to level up 2 sizes. Like, wait,
I guess there probably wasn't. Like,
yeah.
I really don't. I think it just gets to the point where like, oh, I'm getting older, so. And at the time, I was like 26, 7 years old.
Like still in my 20s. I'm getting old.
You're getting old, so I'm getting, my metabolism's slowing down. Adrenaline's gonna get me there. Blah blah blah. You come up with excuses of. I mean, literally quite everything. Like, why I can't tie my shoes, why I have to unbutton my pants. You come up with stupid excuses. But did I ever envision myself getting that big? No. And I was always pretty athletic. At that point I was not athletic, I guess. But before being a cop, I was athletic, and even after my career's over, I'm still an athletic person. But I guess in that point of my time, it was like I didn't realize that I was still needed to be an athlete,
Yeah.
And
cops need to be athletes, right? Like, there's debate, like, hey, we're not professional athletes, but you don't have to specifically be able to do well with a basketball or a baseball, but you need to be able to be athletic. I mean, if you're an on-duty cop on patrol, you got to be able to run, got to be able to jump walls, got to be able to, drag your partner to safety, run up a flight of stairs. I mean, like, do you think you could have ran a quarter mile quickly to save your life at that age, at that time?
No, I never was in a position where I had to like save my life by running, but there was a couple of foot pursuits where I was like, all right, I'm done. And then my partners would keep continuing. Like, I remember specifically one where I was chasing a guy, and he went around the building, and I dropped my radio and everything. It was just like a disaster. And I told my partner Hilario, I was like, hey dude, I'm done. He's like, he just kind of looks back at me and he just keeps running. Yeah. He jumps over a barbed wire fence, chases him through a field, and then I kind of walk up behind him to help. Like,
Did that not make you feel bad though? Like,
that was probably towards the end of me being fat. It was kind of one of those, like, there's tons of things that just kind of led up to the point where I was like, F it, I've had enough. Yeah. And that's probably one of them. I was probably one of my last night shifts as a regular patrol officer, I would say. But it was definitely ate at you, man. I see my partner running through a field. It's like 2:00 in the morning, chasing after a gangbanger that we already knew. I mean, we knew who the guy was. And so that's why I was like, well, I'll just have to be all right.
Yeah, I don't have to run.
I'll get him later tomorrow, But, my partner was like, no, he's bolting from us. We're going to get him.
Yeah.
And he jumped over the fence, got him, and and Hilario at the time, Hilario is probably 10 years older than I am. So he's probably getting to be here. He's 50 now. And so I was probably in my 20, 27, 28.
Yet he
29.
was in better shape.
Oh
than
yeah,
you.
yeah. And he was just a smaller guy. He just, he didn't have to worry about food and stuff like that. But, it got away. You get to that point, you're like, holy shit, I'm not doing well, type thing. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about the crazy incident that really told you need to get in shape because, I don't want to spoil it, but it involves Dustin getting his butt kind of kicked. Not necessarily kicked, but losing a fight to a scrawny teenager. Tell us the story that inspired you to really get in shape.
Yeah, like I said, there's lots of little things, and this is the last moment where I was like, I can't do this no more. But I was on the side of the road, and I pulled somebody over for speeding, so they're talking to the lady, and someone pulls up to me, kind of like on the opposite side of the road, and it says, "Hey, there's a couple people fighting over there. There's a guy beating up a girl or something like that." And so I was like, what? Okay, I give the lady her stuff back. I run back to my patrol car, and less than a quarter mile up the road, there's a little turn in to some trailer houses, and then there was two people fighting. And I was like, okay, so I jumped out. Dude, so yeah, I jumped out of the car, and I was Mr. Rookie, obviously. But I jumped out with my handcuffs in my hand. Like, get around, get down, turn around. Yeah. And the guy was like, no. And so I had him up against the fence, and I was trying to get him turned around. He wouldn't do it. And then finally, it ended up going into like a ground fight, and I'm trying to and the kid kicked me in the nuts, and I was like, holy crap. I couldn't get his hands. And, I'm trying to get this kid up and, cuffed. And someone came and helped me, and it ended up being his dad. And he helps me get him cuffed up, and he's like, telling him, mijo, calm down. And then it turns out the kid was like 15 or 16 years old. And I know that because we went to juvenile court for the whole thing, and he got shipped off to California and came back later. But, it's like, I couldn't take care of a 15-year-old. I have a 14-year-old son. And then my son's bigger than that kid.
Yeah.
And I couldn't take care. I couldn't take care of that kid in the moment as a police officer beating up on his girlfriend, who's also 14 or 15 years old. I was like, man, this is horrible. So
I've seen this so many times. Like, Dustin and I have worked with a lot of first responders who want to get in shape, and it usually is this story. It's a lot of little things that pop up. Their blood pressure is coming up, like getting worse. They're finding themselves winded climbing upstairs. They have to buy a new duty belt. Their shirt's fitting tight. But then it's usually like one more kind of more major incident where they're like, okay, now that's it. I got to get in shape. Yours is getting, for lack of a better word, beat up by a teenager. Not beat up, but you lost. Like you weren't winning that fight. For me, it was when I went to the doctor because a nurse at the jail tested my blood pressure, and she's like, dude, your blood pressure is like 160 over 95. You need to get help. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, I'm a strong guy. I lift weights, and yeah, I'm a little overweight, but why is my blood pressure so bad? So I went to the doctor, and probably within 2 minutes, he's like, okay, here's your prescription. And I kind of expected more. I was like, that's it? And he was like, yeah, what else would you expect? Yeah. And, I guess we can't expect all doctors to tell you, hey, you need to lose weight. Are you working on your fitness seriously? He didn't have any questions. He goes, here's your pills. And I was in my mid-20s. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to get in shape. I literally threw his prescription into the trash can, and I lost 50 plus pounds of fat. And now my blood pressure is good. But that was my kind of final straw. Like, I cannot allow this to continue. But yeah, I mean, glad you're better now, man.
Yeah, well, both of us.
Yeah,
that's funny about your doctor. Could you imagine, like, today, the doctor's like, oh, well, this person needs to lose weight. Probably can't even say that anymore.
Well, because people get offended, offended. I've spoken to doctors, at least one I can recall, who's like, I can't have conversations with clients about or patients losing weight because they get offended. Like, oh, I already know this. Well, if you already know this, why aren't you doing something about it? Why are you coming to me with health issues caused by your obesity? Yet when I tell you to lose weight, you get mad at me. And I get it. Like, it's hard to have those conversations when people buck back at you.
Just like some of our content, we try to raise awareness, and when you post stuff on Instagram, right? Yeah. But even when we post something, it's not to make fun of somebody. It's to raise awareness, because just like where I was, where you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, then people kind of look at a person on the internet and you're like, man, I look like that guy. You look at the comments and all these people either making fun of them.
Yeah.
Or they're like, y'all are so mean. It's not to be mean. Like, that's not our goal.
No.
It's not our goal. Our goal is to, like, raise awareness, because we don't want someone to be in situations that we've heard so many times on our calls and stuff. You know, yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but, you know, like the guy that couldn't jump over the fence.
Right.
You know, and save his partner, you know?
Well, yeah. In my belief about being offended, okay, is that, like, it's not the world's job to make sure they, you know, tiptoe and walk on eggshells and make sure they don't offend you. It's your job to become hard enough, resilient enough, or change yourself in whatever way you need to so that you are not offended. Because I don't care who you are. Like, you could be the best at certain things. I mean, look at Taylor Swift. I'm not a huge fan of her music, but, like, she's an incredibly successful musician. Tons of haters, tons of people saying she sucks, this or that. Think about any sports star.
Oh, I know.
You look at them make a mistake, the comments, oh, you suck, this or that. So my thing is this, no matter who you are, you're going to have people taking shots at you. But if you are someone who knows in your heart that you're doing well, it's not going to offend you. Like, if Taylor Swift has somebody tell her you suck as a musician, I hope she's not offended, because she should be able to say, well, you're just an idiot. Obviously, I'm doing great. And that's the thing. Like, right now that I'm in good shape, if someone were to say, Ted, you're a fatty, I would just laugh. I'd be like, well, no, I'm not. You're just stupid, right? But when I was 260 pounds, if somebody said, you're a fatty, I would have been offended. I would have said, damn. Like, well, what the hell, man? Because I knew it was true at the time. I believed it myself. And that's the thing. If you don't believe what they're trying to offend you about, you're not going to be upset. If a 2-year-old says you're a poopy head, you're going to laugh because you know you're not a poopy head. Right? But at the same time, if a 2-year-old says, that pimple on your forehead looks ugly, daddy, I might get offended because I might know it's true. Like, crap, you know, they're being savage. But, you know, so that's the thing is, don't make it true. What you ought to do is, if you're offended by somebody picking on you because of your weight or your lack of fitness, whatever, work on yourself so that you're no longer offended. And listen, if you're overweight and you're okay with it, and those comments don't offend you because you don't care, fine, then stay overweight. You know, as long as you understand the risks, the health risks and all that. But, like, it's not, long story short, it's not the job of the world to, you know, not offend you. It's your job to be resilient enough to not be offended.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. But it's just the world now. Like, that's crazy how we live, and you can really not say. I mean, for us to see, I mean, we were probably going to get flagged for saying fatty so many times on this.
We might. Yeah, can't say that. Let's ask some hard hitting questions, man. I think these will be fun. I want you to try to ask me some questions too. That you know, don't hold anything back. I love it, actually, just being an open book and talking about anything that might embarrass someone else. I'm an open book, but I'll ask you a question. This is a good one. What's a truth that society would be pissed off to hear, but all cops know is true? Well, I don't know about all cops, but let's say cops know that this truth is true, but it would upset society to hear. Give me one. I'll give you my own too.
You know, and I, you know, we've already talked about this, so it's funny, but, you know, we profile. We
profile. What do you mean?
Profile people. Like, if I see a car full of gangbangers, you know, it's a lowrider. Everybody's got their bandanas hanging out. They're all, you know, they are fitting the mold of what has happened. In my mind, I have to profile that car as a thing. Like, something's going to happen.
Even though they didn't do anything illegal. Like, nothing they're doing is illegal. Like, having that certain attire, the clothes, the car. But when you add all those factors together, you know from your training and experience.
What is the special word you say? The totality of the circumstances.
Right.
That's what it means. That's what profiling means. Now, with that same breath, I'm not saying that every time I see a Mexican dude on the sidewalk wearing
you're going to
Dickies,
stop him.
I'm going to stop him, right? Or I'm going to think less of him, because that's not the truth. That's furthest from the truth. It's when you have the whole thing together. So we profile, and there's and I think someone said it. We criminally profile. We don't racially profile. You have a set standards or set things that have gone on in your life that you think, right. You're walking down a dark alley at 2:00 in the morning. You see some guy in a overcoat. You know, you can't see their face. You don't know what that's underneath. I mean, you're scared. Like,
right. Even though they've done nothing wrong, but like, and that's the dumb part is that, you know, we can't just state the obvious as human beings that, like, hey, when you see this, it looks suspicious. Like, let me give you an example of real profiling. When I was a cop, we had a lot of burglaries in our downtown area, and lo and behold, it ended up typically being gang members from LA who happened to be black. Okay, so we had repeated burglaries of these crews, usually 3 to 4 guys who were black, who would break into a business in the middle of the night and steal a bunch of stuff. Okay, so knowing that, all right, you're driving around as a cop. I don't care what race you are. You see a Nissan Altima with 4 black dudes in it at 2 a.m. What are you gonna do?
Man, I'm gonna try to get a stop on it.
You're probably gonna stop them. Exactly. Is that car not more suspicious than 4 white teenagers? It is. Unfortunately, a little bit more suspicious. And it's not that I'm saying that black people are the ones who are solely responsible for crimes. I just mean, like, you look at the trends, right, in your particular area. Similarly, I know there's other cops who, in their particular area, it could be white people committing the crimes. It could be typically Hispanics. Yeah. But I look at that car and you go, what are you guys doing here? You know, like, this is suspicious, and I might pull them over. And here's the thing. This is what cops do. I'll be honest. You find a reason to pull them over that's not the reason you're pulling them over. Yeah. This is cops. This is something cops do. I don't care who you are. This may upset some people, but you go, man, that is a car I need to pull over to talk to them, to see if I, see evidence of drugs in the car, evidence of stolen property, whatever. But I'm going to, you know what? Their taillight's out. So that's the reason I'm stopping them.
Failed to stop at a designated point. Failed to completely stop 100 feet before intersection.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're going to find... So, like, cops will find some reason to pull you over that's not the real reason for pulling you over. This is something cops do, and they probably can't admit it in a court of law. but the fact is, you can't legally say, hey, I saw, 4 guys of a particular race at a time of night, and that's why I wanted to stop them. Courts could argue that you're being racist.
It's not reasonable suspicion enough.
But I mean, it should be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it is reasonable suspicion. It's not probable cause to stop and arrest or make it. Yeah. So, man, that's a sticky situation too that we're in. Like, just period. That topic. People are using those topics all the time, but they can and won't say it. Right. Like. Yeah. Yeah.
Another truth I'll say that the public doesn't want to hear, that all cops know is true, is that there are, I don't know about all cops, but there are some offenders, some people who are locked up that honestly just should be exterminated. Oh, that's my opinion. And here's what I'm going to say. Okay, like, not only do we have these repeat offenders who just commit crimes over and over and over and over and over. I mean, how many times have they proven themselves to be a nuisance on society? And that's me putting it lightly. They're much more of a nuisance. But, like, there are so many criminals who I dealt with who they are miserable themselves. Like, they're crazy. They might have been raised by bad parents. They might have had bad circumstances growing up. I feel bad for them in a way. But at the same time, like, I look at this person, I go, you're useless. Like, you're stupid. You're insane. You're angry all the time. You're fighting people all the time. You're committing crimes all the time. What is the best thing that we should do with that person? In my opinion, it's a very humane way of executing them. And I'm probably going to get some heat for this. Like, I think. Yeah, I'm sure. But, like, that's my opinion, that we have a lot of people behind bars and on the streets right now that shouldn't be alive. Yeah. And you might say, Ted, that's a human life. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry, but they're making life worse for everybody else. Like, you've dealt with these people. They're all they do is they go in and out of jail and prison. They have nothing positive to contribute to society. They themselves are upset. They themselves have no friends or family supporting them. Yeah. It probably can't support them because they're insane and they're jerks, or don't want to support them. What are we to do with them? What's best for them? Is it to just keep them going in and out of custody over and over their whole life till they die, until they murder someone and then they're finally put behind bars for good? I don't know. Do you agree with me? Do you think?
Yeah, honestly, and I guess I feel pretty strongly about, like, anything against a child type thing. Yeah. There's
pedophiles.
Pedophiles and dude, it just, it's tough for me to say. I've got 2 kids, and I can honestly say if somebody tried to do that to one of my kids, they would be. I would go to prison because of that. You know what? If I got the death sentence because of it, so be it. Because that's just the way I believe. But
Yeah.
you know, not saying I want to, but I'm pretty sure that's what would happen. You know,
It's the thing is too. It's like, do we want to have the risk of them offending again? Like, you know, like it's insane to me when you see these articles. Oh, this guy who killed someone and ate half his brain is now released 10 years later because, you know, his mental health is cured and he's good now. That, to me, there's too much of a risk there. Like, what kind of cocktail of medications are you on now that's keeping you upright, that if you decide to not take one day, now you're out on the subway, you know, murdering people again? Like, no, we have enough. I mean, this is going to be controversial. We have enough good contributing humans out there. We don't need somebody who's already proven themselves to be an extreme danger to society at some point.
but you know what the rhetoric is right now is that we need to be nicer to criminals.
Yeah.
What?
Criminal. I love that quote from the Batman movie. That one Batman says that criminals prey on society's understanding, their understanding, and their compassion, which is true. Like, I mean, I've seen guys get arrested and they just laugh and they go, "Oh, I'll be out tomorrow." Like, they know that. And what happened in California when the laws changed so that a felony theft that used to be, I think, $950 or more, that was a felony. Or excuse me, I'm saying this wrong. It was $400 or more. It was a felony. Then they raised the bar. They're like, now let's make it $950 or more. What started happening that week?
Everybody started stealing stuff like up to $925.
Yes, literally, you these people get caught, and it's like you got $943 worth of stuff, and I have to write you a citation ticket and let you go. And then they literally go on to the next store and do the same thing. They don't give a damn.
Yeah,
they don't care. So like, what happens is criminals are going to respond just like a kid would. If a kid knew, hey, you know, if you skip school, you're going to get XYZ punishment. Oh, actually, now you're not going to be punished at all if you skip school. What's going to happen?
they're going to skip school.
So it's like, it's human nature. I think it's so, it's mind-boggling how little sense this makes, the direction we're doing. Man, crime is so bad. Let's just eliminate sentences and make it easier for them.
Yeah. Well, I got one for you though.
Okay.
So when we cut for our show, we were both pretty lean, and I feel like when you're lean, you look bigger, right? You know, just details, right? So, and all the time, and every time we would post pictures of you without a shirt on or anything like that, everybody was just calling you a gear. Remember the time we went to Vegas and we were walking through Vegas and the guy turns around and looks at us both, and we were 2 months post show, and the guy's like, "I hope you enjoy the steroids."
Yeah, call me.
So, not saying you do steroids, but obviously both of us do TRT.
Yes.
How much of your gains do you feel like is all related to exogenous testosterone?
That's a good question, right? So like, when I tell people that I take testosterone, sometimes it's like, oh, that's why you're in shape, or that's the only reason you're in shape. I mean, testosterone is not a magic pill, but I will say that if you are deficient in testosterone, it can make a big difference, right? It's not going to do the work for you. Like I know people personally who are on testosterone who, shirtless, you would not ever know they work out. In fact, some are out of shape because they're not eating right, they're not training, whatever. What testosterone does, if you are deficient, is it makes your efforts work better. I mean, it's going to help you recover more. It will increase your strength. It will help with fat loss. It'll help with building muscle. But again, that's only I think it's only if you're deficient. If your testosterone naturally is good, and then you take testosterone, unless you take extreme amounts, it's not going to do much for you. But yeah, like, I know when I was deficient in testosterone and I was low, it did take me longer to recover. That was a big thing. Like, I'd work out and it would take me many more days to feel right again. My libido was lower, my energy was lower. So all I can say is that I believe testosterone, you know, exogenous testosterone that you would inject does help an individual if they are already deficient in testosterone, but it's also not going to do the work for you. So I guess it's a combo, right? Like, certainly it's going to help, but it's not a magic pill. Like, it's not going to do all the work for you. And the thing is, like, I've been open about it on social media. I've stated, yes, I take testosterone or whatever, but I'm not as open about it as I would honestly like to be, because I feel like so many people are ignorant about how it works that the moment they hear you're on testosterone, it's like your credibility goes out the window. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's why you're in shape. It has nothing to do with your lifestyle, the way you approach nutrition or training. No, this is testosterone. And I don't want people to miss out on the help that I can provide as a fitness coach and as a fitness influencer, because they have these improper conceptions about testosterone.
So when I lost all my weight, when you were my coach, and then I don't think you ever openly said that you were on.
No,
that was
that
2020, right?
Yeah.
And so in 2020, and then in 2021, I wasn't even your client at that point. I think I wasn't even coaching with you, but I had texted you and I had messaged you about like testosterone therapy, because I had mind checked and I had nothing. And you told me you should probably look into it. So I had already lost all my weight and then started testosterone therapy. And I'm gonna tell you what I tell all my clients who immediately go to, I want to take TRT.
Yeah.
Like if you're deficient, yeah, we need to, but here's what's going to happen. You are going to put on some more muscle. So the scale's not going to go down as rapidly as you think. You know? You're going to have inflammation come on if you're eating too much. Like it's actually, if you're trying to lose weight, it probably will, and you have a problem with the scale, it's probably going to mess with your head. Because the scale, you're going to be dropping some body fat and you're going to be gaining some muscle with the testosterone. So the scale is going to kind of, going to kind of even out a little bit.
May not show much of a change.
So, it's not, like you said, it's not a magic pill. But before you start taking it, when you start taking it, it's not like you're just going to be dropping body fat, right? You got to know what you're getting yourself into, and you got to be around someone or ask someone, because a doctor, like they're going to tell you, here, take 200 milligrams of TRT, once a week, whatever. They're not going to tell you. They didn't tell me all the side effects that would happen. They don't have a timeline of things. But, having someone tell you like, hey man, you're going to gain, like creatine, same thing. Hey, you're going to gain a little bit of water weight inside of muscles. Hey, you're going to gain a little bit of muscle mass, and the scale is going to rise a little bit. If I'm trying to lose weight and I'm on TRT and I'm worried about the scale and I see the scale go up, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's wrong.
Something's wrong, right?
No.
Yeah, well, and one thing I would say too is that I don't think people give themselves enough of a chance to improve their testosterone levels naturally before they jump on TRT, which was my mistake. At the time I was overweight. I was working night shifts. My sleep was screwed up. My nutrition wasn't good. And I thought testosterone was going to be the magic pill. And it didn't do much until I started to really focus on my nutrition and my training, and I lost the weight. And we've helped a ton of clients who didn't have good testosterone levels, or maybe their hormones were off in other ways. They lose the weight, they get fit, they get healthy, and then testosterone improves to great levels. So I would encourage anyone who's listening, to be quite honest, that don't even consider testosterone unless you feel you've checked all the boxes in terms of how you could improve it naturally. Like, are you lean? No. If you're 20 plus pounds overweight, lose the weight first. Let's see how testosterone improves. Are you eating a good diet? Let's improve that. Are you sleeping well? No, let's improve that. I mean, once you can say, hey, I'm sleeping well, my diet's good, I'm lean, I'm living a healthy lifestyle, my testosterone is still low, then maybe go talk to a qualified doctor about it.
And that's actually pretty sticky too. Qualified doctors.
Yeah, who's that? Right.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of doctors would look at low testosterone, and unless that in turn is causing some other serious health issue, then it's a non-issue for them. They don't care. Like, I had a doctor who saw my testosterone was like 120, and he's like, yeah, it's low, but it's not causing any issues really. I mean, you're not as muscular as you'd like. Your energy's not as good as you like, but you're fine, right? Yeah. So you might need to find a doctor who's more oriented on your wellness as opposed to, what disease am I here to fix or cure? It's really about leveling you up rather than fixing an extremely serious deficiency.
Yeah, and that's until I moved here in Utah and I found my current doctor, I've always had doctors that are like, let's just pull here's some pills, and obviously testosterone is a medication, but mine currently is like, let's make life optimal, and that's, I think, what kind of a doctor you're looking for is optimal life, not let's manage.
Not just let's throw medications at you, but what ways can we help you optimize your lifestyle so you can be fitter and healthier?
Sure.
Hey, thanks again for watching the Fit Responder podcast. Once again, my name is Ted Stern. Really appreciate you checking us out. Please do check out our website at fitresponder.com if we can help you or someone you know with their fitness goals. Stay safe, strong, and fit.